Okay, this is our video for blocks against Mahtomedi this week. They are a 4-3 defense, so four down linemen, and three interior linebackers. And they have two safeties and two corners. I'm going to talk about all of our plays inside to out. First play we'll talk about is trap to the right. They do run, they have a three technique and a one technique. Sometimes they do put the three technique on the backside and the one technique on the front side. So we just need to be prepared to uh, running a running trap to a three side and to a one side. We just could be prepared for both. So I'm going to talk about both sides and how we block both sides. Okay. So if we're running it to a three side, the play side tackle is ripping up to inside linebacker to FBI. The play side guard is going to FBI. Okay, we'd make a 3-3-3 call or call out his number, whatever it is. Our center, his rule is gap double to backer. So he's got a guy in his gap, he's blocking back. Guard kicks out a two or wider, so we're kicking the three. Backside tackle is wheeling and sealing, stepping down hard, replacing the guard. Okay. On the backside here, uh, Y or X, we are running to cutoff. Um, Here are H, we're trying to scoop the five if we can. Okay, here we're trying to scoop this backer here on the inside here. So try to scoop them, kick out the three, down to backer. Okay, now let's talk about going to the 1-5 side. Tackle, so we're going to kick two or wider. That would be this five technique. So we'd yell out his number. Tackle rips to FBI. Guard's rule is gap to backer. Or sorry, gap double to backer. So there's a guy in his gap he's going to block down. Center, this is where I'd love for you to go straight to backer. But if we can't get this three technique blocked on the backside, then we can make a cat call where both the tackle and the center will go there. Once the center has gotten to the three technique, then the tackle will block back here. H, you will also wheel and seal here on the backside, so you will help block the C, get hip to hip with the tackle, and help defend the backside. X is touchdown block here. Okay, if you're in this bunch look. So Y is if you're in this bunch look, going to safety here. Okay. Um, let's talk about power and counter. We are no longer running G to try to help you guys, so you don't need to worry about G. We're still going to run G blocking and boot and pass. So we'll talk about that when we get to our pass protection. But we're not going to run the play G, so you don't need to worry about it. So we're going to run trap, power, counter, truck. Okay, so those are our four run plays: trap, power, counter, truck. All right, so those are the plays that you need to worry about. So we're going to go to power and counter. Another change that we're going to do is that for power and counter, if we are in our bunch look or if we're in tank where the tight end is on the line of scrimmage, so if he's flexed or on the line of scrimmage, we are going to double with him. So if you have a Y or an X on your side, if he's flexed or if he's on the line of scrimmage, you are doubling with him. So that means we are kicking out a six or a wider. Okay, so that's to try to help you guys. Now, if there is no tight end, so let's say if we're like this, okay, if there was no tight end, then we're kicking a five or a wider. All right, but if there is a tight end either flexed or on the line of scrimmage, it is a six or a wider. So now we no longer have to worry about, okay, is he on the line or is he flexed? If he's on the line or flexed, we're still going to block it the same way. The only time it's a five or a wider is if there is no tight end or if there's no tight end, if he's split out, um, and he's not flexed or hand down on the line of scrimmage. Okay, we'll talk about that more, but I hope that'll make it more simple for us up front. Okay, so that's good for X's and Y's to know as well, is that if you are flexed or on the line of scrimmage, your rule is gap double backer. Okay. Gap double backer. That's the X and Y's rule. So if we're running power to the play side here, it is a six or a wider. Obviously, this linebacker is off, so we're going to call this linebacker. There are times where the linebacker is on the line of scrimmage here. So if he's head up on this X or wider, then he's going to be the guy we kick. Okay, if he's inside for whatever reason, then we're going to call the next guy out. Okay. Um, So let's just start with him back here. So we'd call out this linebacker's number because he's a 5 technique, which will benefit us. So this X or Y would reduce his split down to make sure he can help us out and have a good double team or to have a good block on this 5. But like I said, the X or Y's uh, rule on the play side of power or the play side of counter is gap double backer. Okay. There's a guy in his gap here, so he's going to down block him and not give up any penetration and drive him down. Okay. Tackle, you're going to block down on the 3. Guard, your rule is gap on double. Okay. So this can be a tag call where we're going to double the 3 to first backer inside. Okay. Just like that. Center, your rule is gap, double gap on backer. So you're going to block back. Okay. If we're running power, H is going to go kick out the linebacker and we got to pull all the way around the stuff. We got to make sure we get all the way around and we are leading up. Remember, we're looking up and then in. All right. Backside tackle is wheeling and sealing. Backside Y. Okay. Not ripping inside. Nothing crosses your face going up for a touchdown block. Okay. And then obviously the Z is blocking out. All right. So that's power. Let's talk about counter the other direction. So the Y will reduce the split. This is a TED. We got a TED here. So because your role is gap double backer, the tackle doesn't have a guy in his gap. So his next progression is a guy on him. So this would be a TED double team to FBI. Okay. Because we're kicking out this linebacker here. Guard's rule is gap on double. There's a guy in his gap, so he's going to block down. Center, this is where you could go to FBI, or we can make a cat call where you go to the backside here to help the tackle with the wheel and seal. Our guard is pulling and kicking out the linebacker. Our H is leading up and through the hole, looking up then in. We got to make sure we get outside this block here. Okay. Backside X would be great if we can rip inside here to get inside this 5 technique. Okay. And then we're good to go. So Y's, if you're on the play side of power or counter, your rule is gap double backers. So if there's a guy in your gap, you block him. Okay. If you can double with the tackle, if there's no one in his gap, then you have a double team. Okay. Now, for whatever reason, if there's no one in your gap or there's no one on top of the tackle, then you just go to backer. Then you would just work to first backer inside. Okay. That's your rule for that. Now, let's say for whatever reason, they decide to bring this guy down inside. Okay. Then we would kick the next guy out. Why you would block down here. This guy would have to slant inside. Okay. Or he'd be more inside here. Okay. And then our tackle would block down on him and we'd just be kicking out one guy wider. Okay. Leading out. But I don't foresee them doing that. Okay, so that's power counter. We talked about trap, power counter. We're still going to run kick. Sorry, and that remember that's just power without a puller. So let's talk about kick. If we're running kick to the right, it doesn't matter if the X is flexed like he is here or on the line of scrimmage with his hand on the ground. It's gonna be the same thing. His rule is gap double backer. He's got a guy in his gap, so he's going to block down. Tackle has a guy in his gap. He's going to block down. Okay, guard. This is going to be a tag call, so we're doubling to backer. Okay, center and backside guard are going to double to backer. Tackle is going to block back. Okay, and then this backside Y we can block back as well. Okay, so it'll look like that. Everyone is so gap double backer, gap on double, gap on double, gap on double, gap on double, gap on double. It's our rule for kick. Okay. And then our H is kicking out 6 or wider. Okay. That's our rule for that. Okay. Let's talk about truck. So if we're running truck to the play side here to the bunch side, X or Y, your rule is gap to backer. Okay. So we're down blocking on this 5. Our H, we're kicking out the corner. tackle, leading up through the hole here. Our Z, dependent on where this guy's lined up. Okay. Our Z might be going to that guy. Okay. Tackles are probably going to look inside really fast. So once you get up here, if you don't see anyone out when you get out here, you need to look inside for a scraping linebacker. So our tackle picks that up. Everybody else, center, play side guard, center, backside guard, tackle. Your rule is gap on to cut off. There's a guy in your gap, you got to scoop him. Okay. If there's not a guy in your gap, not a guy on you, then you are running to cut off the second level. Okay. Guard, you have a guy here. Backside tackle, your rule is just gap to cut off. Okay. So you're going to run and try to cut somebody off. This backside 5 technique, we can leave him alone because he's not going to make the play. Okay. Then why doing the same thing on the backside? So that's for truck. Now let's say if we ran jet to this side. Okay, same thing. Gap to backer, so blocking the 5. Okay, our A back is kicking out the corner on jet. Tackle here, you're going, sorry, what am I doing? You are pulling up and then looking in. Guard, if there's no one in your gap, no one on you, you can also pull. And you are looking inside. Center, you are gap on cutoff. You got a guy in your gap. You are scooping that 1 technique. Okay, gap on to cut off. Backside tackle, you got to scoop the 3 because he's in your gap. Okay. And then we're scooping, trying to rip across his face. Okay. And that's truck to this side. So here we're just trying to go and cut off on the backside, try to get to a safety. Okay. Sorry. The Z's getting the ball on jet. Okay. Don't know why that happened. Um, sure enough. All right. Let's talk about pass protection. Is probably going to be easy to see out of this type of formation. Not white ball. Black. Okay. Um, so let's talk about this here. So he's going to be out like this. He's going to be back. He's probably going to be out here like that. Okay. Pass protection, man on, man away, man on, man away. Okay, center and the guard doubling the 1 technique here. The center's going to take him over. The guard's going to help, but looking for this backer if he's coming. Okay, A back is responsible for that A gap right there, that linebacker. Okay. They do run a stunt where they bring both outside linebackers on the line of scrimmage. Okay, if they do that, if they bring both here on the line of scrimmage, on the 3-5 side, this is where we will make an off call for the 3-5 side because you guys already have a guy that you're blocking. So the A back will come over here. On the 1-5 side, we can make a fan call because our tackle can go out, our guard can go out, and then our center can come out to block that up. Okay. If they make this show this look. So we'll make a fan call to the 1-5 side. We'll make an off call to the 3-5 side. So our A back can come over and help with that. Okay. They also do this look, but then these guys will drop off on the snap of the ball, and then they will bring this linebacker. Okay. If they do this, this is where our A back, if he sees that guy drop, our A back is going to have to come back and try to block this guy. Okay. So because that's our A back's responsibility. Okay. Boot and pass. So if we're running boot to the right here, okay, we are trying to log the 5 technique. So our guard's going to log the 5. Center's going to block back. We're getting outside the tackle here. Then we're turning back for garbage, wheeling and sealing. Okay. Um, if they're in this walked up look here, like this, okay, then our guard will still log this 5, and the backside guard is going to have to try and go come and get this outside linebacker. So you still have to look out first, backside guard, and then once you get out here and there's nothing out there, then you can turn back and pick up garbage. But you still need to look out first in case they have a triggering linebacker. Okay, that's on boot. Then obviously on pass, we are kicking out that linebacker. Okay, everything else, or sorry, we're kicking out that 5. My fault. You're kicking out that 5. Okay, and you're still doing the same thing. That's on pass. So boot, you log them, you log the 5. On pass, you kick them out. All right. Okay, let's talk about screen. Okay, if we run screen right, so our tackles, they stay on the whole time. Okay, we do our normal thing for 1,000, 1,000. So if we run a screen right, that's where they have one Mike linebacker. So our play side guard and center are going to go to that Mike backer. Our backside guard is going to go to their play side backer on their side. This guy is going to drop into coverage. So we're hoping that we're not gonna have to deal with him, because we're going to throw the ball right here and we can double this guy and hopefully run the ball off that. Okay. So if we run a screen to the left, okay, it's going to look like this, this, and then go in there to that outside backer. Okay. And then same thing, he'll be dropping. Okay. Tackles stay on the high wall, just trying to drive their ends out. Okay. I think those are all the plays for this week. Make sure you know what you're supposed to do.